at Armstrong Field. Tim Cole with Bob Hintz, and we do not have our roving reporter, A.G. Womble, on hand today. Bob, tell us why.
Well, A.G.'s wife delivered a young baby boy early yesterday morning. Name is Chase Womble. Now, that's a great name.
Super name, and A.G. hopefully will be back next week. We'll be back.
In fact, I've got the time here. They didn't give me any weights, but it's 4:15 Friday morning. That's great. We miss A.G. We'll miss his commentary, and I know the cheerleaders will definitely miss A.G. But, Tim, we got a chance here as the band is marching off. Let's get with the lineups if we can for today's game.
All right, there we go. The Bruins, Bethel on offense. They'll have Gwaltney at quarterback. The fullback is Fountain. Hodge will be the tailback. Flanker back is Tuning. Crawford and Kelly will be the ends. Now, Todd Kelly is a question mark for today's game.
No, he'll be playing today.
Okay. Washington and Dixon are the tackles. The guards are Nickens and Hargrove, and the center is Washington.
The Bruin defense is led by the two guards, number 71, Nick Washington, and number 20, Kevin Kottman, who is an outstanding ball player. The tackles, Brian Hargrove and Charles Nickens. The ends is Todd Kelly, who will play along with Troy Fullwood. Linebacking for the Bruins is Marcus Washington and Melendez Bird. At cornerback, Steve Hodges, who will also run the ball sometime today, and Robbie Robinson. And at safety, Tracy Barkers for the Bruins.
For the Phantoms on offense, they have Chris Witz at quarterback. Tom Bodie will be the fullback. Maurice Turner will be the tailback. The split end will be, the flanker will be Artis. Oh, okay, we're having the toss of the coin.
The other officials in the ball game with us today will be Mr. Smith, who's our back judge, Mr. Usaga, who's the line judge, Mr. Adamowski is our umpire, and Mr. Thompson is our head linesman. All right, gentlemen, since they're the visiting team, they'll have the honor of calling this toss. Which one will call it? Number 88 will call it. This is heads, this is tails. Call it while it's in the air. If I drop it, we'll go again.
Tails!
He calls tails. It is a tail. You wish to defer to start the second half. They're deferring their option, so they'll have the choice to start the second half. It's now your choice whether you wish to receive, kick, or defend the goal. You wish to kick. If you kick, they're going to get both half kickoffs. That's what we'll do. You wish to receive. Which goal will you defend? I turn around the way you're going to be, gentlemen.
38, Kelly. Number 79, Marky Washington.
Okay, you've had the toss of the coin. We have a very loud hum in our audio. I don't know. I believe that's Joe Lewis, who's our instant replay man, is down on the field. He's got the mic still on.
Well, he's helping, taking double duty here today to help with AG not being here. Tim, while we got a chance, let me go over those officials. We didn't get to hear him very much. Number 22, the referee, is Jim Fay. He's the one who made the coin toss. Number 90 is the umpire, George Adamowski. Number 84, the linesman, is Bob Thompson. The line judge is number 54, Mike Ursega. And number 62, the back judge, is Pete Smith. What happened was that Bethel won the toss, deferred to the second half, so they will receive the second half or have the choice the second half. Therefore, Phoebus is receiving the ball to start the ball game, Tim, and they will be traveling from our right to our left as you see them lining up for the kickoff.
And we'll hopefully get a chance to finish the starting lineups for both teams. We apologize. I don't know that the fans are hearing the same buzzing noise that I am. I'm hopeful that they're not.
Number 44 for the Bruins would be Troy Fullwood. He will be kicking off for the Bruins, and he missed a very important extra point in that game and lost with Pulaski. There we go, the offense, Tim, if you want to finish up the offense.
All right, we have the ends are Richards and Burke. Hicks and Cox are the tackles. Jeffrey Lawrence is one of the guards. Williams is the other. Chris Black will be playing center, a juggling act today for the Bruins, or for the Phantoms rather. Wideout will be John Ross, and the punter will be Andre Ross.
And for the Phoebus Phantoms on defense, if we get a chance to see that, Tim, we've got, well, that's the offense again.
Well, we're about set to go as Bethel will be kicking off in this all-important game for both teams this afternoon.
It's an extremely important game. You talk about a big game. This is a big game, Tim.
Kickoff taken at the 12-yard line and losing his footing almost immediately is Turner. Maurice Turner. Now, as most of our fans know, this game being played Saturday afternoon, the 20th of October. Friday night, there was a heavy downpour of rain most all day Friday and Friday night. So that field, even though it's in pretty good condition, could very easily be slippery in many different spots.
It is, Tim. I was out there on the field, and there are some very wet spots on that field.
Phoebus testing the right side of the defensive line of Bethel. Pick up a couple of yards. The line of scrimmage for the starting of this possession is the 12-yard line. They've brought it out to the 14. It's second down and 8.
As you can see on that opening kickoff, Tim, when Turner started to move, his foot slipped, and that's why his knee hit, and they didn't get any yardage on that run back. And we got a flag before the snap of the ball.
Illegal procedure against the Phantoms, so this will back them up 5.
Well, they look like they're having a little bit of trouble getting on track, Tim. I talked with the coaches, both Bill D and Mike Talon, and both of them are very concerned because they played last week without much emotion. And, of course, in any sport, you want to be able to have some emotion, but you want to be able to control it also.
Down remains the same. It's second down, only instead of second and 8, of course, it's second and 13. And another flag down. Looked like there was premature motion again by Phoebus. Looked like someone might have moved early, and that's the call.
And Tim, that was a pass play that was called, and it sounds like we got the buzzing out of our earphones now. That sounds good. I don't know if they have, but boy, you talk about putting yourself in the hole. That puts that ball back at the 5-yard line, Tim. So now Phoebus is digging a bigger and bigger hole for themselves.
So 2 consecutive penalties against the Phantoms have backed themselves up, as you said. They're on the 5 now. They need to get out to the 22 and a little bit beyond for the first down. It's still second down. Dragging a Bruin defender. That was Turner. The defender on the play was 81 Melendez-Bird for the Bruins.
And he's one of those fine linebackers for the Bruins, Tim.
Gain is out to the 8-yard line, pickup of 3. It's third down now, third down and about 14 for the first down.
And Tim, they have to kick into the win. Bethel kicked off, and of course they took the win at their back. So if you don't pick up a first down here, punting, Bethel is going to end up with excellent field position.
And the wind could well be a factor this afternoon. The left-handed throwing Witz throws downfield. It goes incomplete.
And Tim, that ball just slipped out of his hand. That was not a very good pass. We have seen him pass the ball very well on many occasions this year.
So the Bruins hold on defense with the assistance of a couple of illegal procedure calls against Phoebus. Both of these teams may be a little nervous about this. As we mentioned in the pregame show, this game is a big game for postseason play purposes. The winner of this game will have a definite hold on that particular position.
Well, that's Andre Ross back deep to punt for the Phantoms. Got a pretty good kick away, Tim. Takes it at the 42.
And is he stuck well? That's number 45, Steve Hodges, for the Bethel Bruins, and he was, as you saw, stopped cold at the 40-yard line.
Well, the return was to the right side of the field, Tim, and he got it at the 42, so he picked up 2 yards on it. but he was running laterally, trying to set up some blocking, and Phantoms did a good job of coming down and covering that punt. Now, Bethel does have good field position because they are on the Phantoms 40.
And they have the wind at their back. Ryan Gwaltney is the quarterback, number 7. And off to the second man through is Corey Hodge, who we will see carry the ball a large number of times this afternoon. Corey Hodge is the main ball carrier in the offensive attack for the Bruins.
He most certainly is, Tim, and this is what Coach Kiles was telling me. He will carry the ball for the most part, but they also will bring in a young man by the name of Hodges.
We saw Steve Hodges play.
Number 45.
Right, when we saw Bethel play Kickoff, we saw Hodges play. And off to the first man through this time, it's Steve Fountain for the Bruins. After the gain of almost 3 for Hodge, now the gain down to the 33. It'll be 3rd down and 3 for the Bruins.
But this is very important for the Phantoms. If that defense can get real stingy here and hold the Bruins in check, then they'll get a chance to get the ball back and perhaps get better field position than what they started with.
Down close to the first down is Corey Hodge.
He's about at least a yard short. Tim, he had to get to the 30, and they're spotting the ball at the, well, actually at the 38.5.
No, the 31.5.
Check that, yes, 31.5.
8 minutes and some change remaining here in the first quarter. We remind you that there are 4 12-minute quarters in high school ball. No score as we're coming to you from Hampton University's Armstrong Field. And a lineup with Troy Fullwood over center, hoping to get an offsides call. Well, now they have a whistle, and they do in fact run the play, but a delay in the game. That was a planned play.
It certainly was, Tim.
They can shift out of that into a punt formation because Fullwood does the punting. What they were looking for is the what we have referred to as the Hampton High School irregular cadence count. They get up there and they call a long count, hoping to catch one of those Phantoms in a little situation where it might be a little over anxious and jump off sides and give them the first down. But Phoebus showed their patience.
Oh, they not only did that, but that shows good on the coaching end to have their players be aware of that situation, Tim.
I say Fullwood is the punter. He is the place kicker. The punter is the man you see with the ball now, and that is left-footed kicker Todd Kelly, who hits a beautiful spiral. Unfortunately for the Bruins, it's a little too long, and it goes into the end zone. But that ball was kicked towards the far corner, and it just didn't quite line up the way Todd Kelly would like to have.
Well, Tim, last week in Pulaski County, Todd Kelly got hurt, and they didn't have a punter, and they were averaging 12 yards on a punt. And Coach Kaz and Roger Bouchard said it was terrible because we would punt, and they would punt, and we were going backwards because they were punting the ball much better than what we were. So they're glad to have Todd back. Of course, they would like to have maybe a shorter punt at that point.
At the 20-yard line, this is Chris Witz, keeps it himself and goes out of bounds, but he'll be close to a first down if they mark it across the 30, and it appears they will. It will be a first down. So the initial first down of the ball game.
And that was a planned rollout that time, Tim, but he'll do that same type of rollout, talking about Chris Witz, and pass from that. And here we go with the instant replay on that. As you can see, he avoids a tackler right there, had his eyes open for a potential passer receiver, but then he just picked up the 10 yards.
10 yards and a couple of inches as the first down is registered by the Phantoms. No score early in the first quarter. Rolling to his right, throwing to the left. Incidental contact made on the intended receiver was Tony Richards, but the ball really wasn't catchable.
I think that's why there was no flag, because it was not catchable. But that's a hard rollout for Chris Witz to do, rolling to the right and throwing with his left hand. He's got to get his shoulders back, and the ball sometimes will sail on you, as it did that time, Tim.
Bob, I'm going to take 10 seconds here and admonish the Hampton City School fans. This is atrocious that a game this big isn't sold out, and the stands are almost hardly even half filled. Chris Witz throws for Mike Artis off his fingertips and goes incomplete.
Well, Bethel had about 5 people back in the secondary that time, Tim, to cover the pass. They are expecting Witz to pass the ball, evidently, and he is not surprising them at all. But Coach Kaz, we're going to see the replay on it, but Coach Kaz told me that they have a lot of different defenses. Here you see him rolling to the right.
And you'll see Melendez Bird is right there with Artis. There you see Bird, number 81, as he had a pretty good shot at the ball, but it was just overthrown. 3rd down and 10 for the Phantoms. On the delay, Turner out close to the first down. It's going to be just shy of the first down. He needed to cross the 40 and then a little more, and they'll mark it, I believe, they'll mark it right on the 40. So they're going to come up short.
They're going to be just inches short, Tim, and this is really a gut situation on this, and we'll see the replay on it. But and you can see it's just a draw play, and it looks like he's going to pick it up, but the Bruins do a good job of coming back and shutting him down. But they are going to go for it. All they need is inches, so this is a good place for a quarterback sneak.
And that's what you're going to see, and it looks like he's gotten enough for the first down. He had to get, well, about halfway between the 40 and the 41 to get the first down, and you see the referee indicate that it is, in fact, the second first down of the ball game for the Phantoms.
And there was an opening right over the left guard spot where the quarterback could just take a step and go right, follow the left guard, and he knew he was going to pick up a minimum of a yard. And all he needed was inches, Tim.
6.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. No score. The Phoebus Phantoms in blue with the ball. This is Turner slanting off the right side.
I don't believe that we're going to see as much scoring in this game, Tim, as we saw last Friday night when these same Phantoms hooked up with Kickoff. I mean, we saw this team score 7 and that team and this team, and there was 42 points scored in that first half. I don't think we're going to see that today.
They've marked the ball just shy of the 44. Gain of 3, 2nd down and 7. Tom Bodie breaks across the midfield stripe down into Bethel territory for the first time, and another first down for the Phantoms.
Well, I tell you, Tim, if it hadn't been for big number 81, Melendez Bird, grabbing a hold of Bodie's ankles as he went by, he would have picked up a whole lot more yardage. You'll see here on the replay that he just goes right off of the left guard, and you can see the hole open up, and it looked like he was really going to pick up some yardage, and Melendez Bird did a good job of tying those ankles together.
Bodie, who has seen limited action because of an injury a couple of games ago. Witz keeps after he fakes to Bodie. Good move by Chris Witz. He's got on the first down, close to the 30-yard line.
Tim, I tell you, the defense went right after Bodie, and he did a good job of cutting right in off the tackle, between the tackle and the end that time, and picked up a good block. And I didn't see who picked up the block, but he got another block, which gave him about 10 more yards.
We'll get a chance to look at it again. They've marked the ball at the 31. Watch this move right here. He
There's
goes to the outside.
Mike Artis.
Yeah, Artis did a good job. He's fast, but that was a little bit faster than normal play. We didn't want to miss the live action here. Witz keeps on the fake. He's got a big gainer again, following the blocking of Mike Artis. He's down inside the 15 at the 13-yard line.
Well, I tell you what, he has found a weakness in that Bethel right side of that Bethel defense, Tim, because he is faking to Bodie, who got good yardage the last time he ran the ball, and that time he just took. Oh, we saying hi, Mom? Hi.
Now watch this again. Witz, and again, this is not at a quicker speed than you're normally going to see. Witz has got good speed, and he gets all the way down to the 13. First down again for the Phantoms.
Here's Bodie.
Bodie is close to the touchdown. He'll be about a yard shy as he just blew past the Bethel defenders and almost went in.
Hey, if it wasn't for Steve Hodges, number 45, he would have jumped into the end zone, but Steve just took his legs right out from under him, and Bodie is a big young man. As you can see, he's holding his hand up there, getting a substitute in for him, but he really got the legs knocked right out from under him. But we got a 1st and goal, Tim, from the 1, and it looks like the Phoebus is going to put pressure on the Bruins right up.
Quarterback sneak. No sign of a touchdown yet. Now we do. 1-yard touchdown run by Chris Witz.
And Tim, there we go with 4:26 to go in the first quarter, and that's what the Phantoms had to do. They had to do something positive in the beginning of this ball game, and at the beginning they really looked kind of out of sync because they got the 2 procedure calls against them, but they held Bethel. made them punt, got decent field position from where they were before on the 20-yard line, and marched that ball 80 yards. I don't have the time of possession, but that was an excellent drive. And, boy, Chris Witz just did an excellent job.
It's appropriate that Chris Witz scored the touchdown because he did most of the ball carrying during that drive. The extra point try is good.
Well, Tim, not only did he do a lot of ball handling and carrying the ball, but Mike Artist and the rest of those people did a good job opening up holes for him.
There's no question about that. We'll see a replay of that touchdown in just a moment. Right from the goal line. There you see he follows his blocker and burrows into the end zone for the touchdown. It comes with 4:26 left here in the first quarter. Phoebus on top, 7-0.
Now, Tim, I said we weren't going to see a lot of scoring. I hope that's not an omen because that has happened before.
I'd love to see another 42-35 overtime game. I tell you, I hope the fans got a chance to see that game, either in person or on tape between Kickoff and Phoebus last week. I have not watched much more entertaining game than that.
I have not. In fact, Tim, I taped that game myself and watched it, and you and I look pretty good.
By golly, we did.
Here's a little bit of information there from Jerry.
Jerry the Z, my head statistician. He's also the second statistician and the third. 80-yard drive took 3 minutes and 13 seconds, and most of that was gobbled up by the running of Bodie and Chris Witz.
And Tim, they had one 4th down situation where they had just inches to go to keep that drive alive.
We are about set to get the kickoff. This is Steve Herman. Taken at the 20-yard line. Out to the 32. And that is Melendez Bird, who's doing everything but carrying the water bucket today.
Well, and he's not the guy that Coach Giles wants to have the ball down, but he's a gutsy ball player, and you'll see a lot from him today, especially defensively. But now the ball's in the Bruins court. They're going to have to do something with it, get some offense moving that ball now, Tim.
Starting from their 31, and now we have an official's timeout. And we've got, well, what do we have here?
I think they've just got an equipment something there. George Adamowski blew the whistle and got him squared away. I don't know what was going on. Here we go with Hodges. Corey Hodge.
He's adamant about that. Don't call him Hodges. His name is Hodge.
Yeah, we have the other young man we was talking about is Hodges.
Incidentally, we want to take this moment to apologize for incorrectly identifying the place kicker last week for Phoebus. And Drew Powell is the man who was doing that kicking last week. We were informed during the week. We heard from Drew's dad. And we apologize for that, and hopefully it won't happen again. We have difficulty at times getting numbers and so forth, not because anyone's uncooperative by any means. All the officials at the schools do everything they can to help us, but just from time to time we get a name and a number that don't match up. What happens is he's got one number for the white jersey and a different number for the blue jersey.
Well, and also number 21 in here is Kevin Rogers, so, you know, we've...
Natural assumption.
It is, and we apologize. Drew Powell did an excellent job of kicking extra points last week.
Well, they were crucial.
Absolutely.
Missed one of those babies, no overtime. First down for the Bruins. Corey Hodge gets nothing. In amongst others, let's see if we can pick out some numbers here for Phoebus. Number 73, Chris Black, one of the first men up off of the pile.
But Tim, I've noticed something. I don't know if the fans could see that when Chris Black came up, he threw his arm in the air and showed a fist. They're trying to show a little bit more emotion. And this is one thing that the coaches were talking about, is you can see right here that is just stopped right in the middle of the backfield. And Chris Black did an excellent job.
Back to the live action.
Boom, there's another defensive play by who is that, number 70?
75 is, excuse me, let me check that, is Morris Hicks. So Hicks and Black, two-way players for Phoebus, showing that they are here to play defense right now. And on 2 successive plays, the Bruins have gone backwards a yard each time. Now it's 3rd down and 12 for Bethel. 2 minutes and 33 seconds to go here in the first quarter. Phoebus on top, 7-0. And
that's Troy Fullwood with the ball. They will change quarterbacks. Gwaltney will come in and run the offense, and then Coach Kyles will bring in Troy Fullwood, who that time brought the ball, and it was just an automatic quarterback keeper. But that's a 4th down and 7 yards, Tim. That's a punting situation, so we'll see Todd Kelly back to punt. The left-footed punter, Tim, it puts a different spin on the ball than what you're used to, so that might be a little tough to handle. Let's see what happens.
And as we mentioned, there is a gusting wind out here today. This will be coming with the ball. Low snap, but not much pressure. And again, he turns it over nicely. This ball drives the receiver, Mike Artis, back to the 15-yard line, trying to go around the left side, gets away from one tackler, and then is finally stopped by Corey Hodge.
Well, Mike Artis did a good job of avoiding about another 5 yards on that play because there was 2 men that had a good shot at him and kind of sidestepped him.
There you see Dennis Kozlowski, the head coach for the Bethel Bruins. At least you see him from behind. That's he with the white shirt on. Watch Artis. By the way, I was very impressed with Artis and his playing ability last week and every game we've seen Phoebus play. Look at the footing there is a little suspect, but he did a good job of keeping his balance and then got it out to the 26. Fumble in the backfield, or at least a mix-up on the exchange appeared to develop between Chris Witz and Tom Bodie. Looked like they had a little difficulty on a handoff, and Bethel was right there to stop it.
I think what happened, Tim, was that was where you put the ball in the belly and you're going to take it back out, and he never got it back out, and that could be a dangerous situation. But this is what the quarterback's supposed to do. He's supposed to read whether that is opening or not, and if it's open, give the ball to Bodie. If not, then keep it, then either pitch it or keep it himself and pick up the yardage that he has done before. But that was a good defensive play for the Bruins.
Bodie comes out of the ball game. Loss of about a yard. This is Witz rolling to his right, throws to his left. It's knocked down, incomplete. The intended receiver was John Ross, number 1. Out on the pattern as well. I can't pick up his number from the side, but there was 2 Phoebus Phantoms in the general area there.
Well, there was a good defensive play that time for the Phantoms. I'm checked that for the Bruins.
Let's watch this again now. You'll see Witz, who's left-handed, rolling to his right. That's most difficult for a quarterback to do.
And boy, that ball was right there, Tim, but it was broken up at the last minute. I believe that's number 86.
Second man through. This is Miller. Miller gets all the yardage needed for the first down out to the 43.
Well, Tim, they don't lose anything when they take Bodie out. They don't lose any speed in that backfield when they take Bodie out, bring Miller in. Any size, but they get a little more speed, I believe, with Miller.
Yeah, Bodie is more of your power runner, I think, and he does a good job getting the short yardage, but Miller has a little more quickness, I think.
Bodie is a wee bit bigger.
235-10 for Tom Bodie.
Yeah, he is big.
You be the one to tell him he's not as quick as Miller, okay?
Not me.
Chris Witz with the option does a good job. Finally dragged out of bounds, but not before he gets to the 36-yard line. So Phoebus is on the move again, as they have got the ball down in Bethel territory.
Well, they evidently are picking up the Bruins defense. Coach Kyle says, I asked him if they're going to play the basic 6-2 that he's been playing. He said, we'll do a lot of different things. We'll see this on a replay.
Watch this. See, everybody went to the middle there. Everybody thought that the ball was handed off, and Chris Witz very alertly got outside, got a block downfield from Mike Artis, and was finally dragged out of bounds by Robbie Robinson. But not before he got a first down. This is Chris Witz again. Oh, my gracious, is he faking out the Bethel tacklers?
He is playing his heart out, Tim, as he has in the last 2 games.
Oh, there's no
the young man has played just awesome football.
A couple of the Bruins really tripped over themselves trying to make the tackle as we've come to the conclusion of the first quarter. Tracy Barkers had the last and finally was able to stop Witz, but not before Witz got just inside the 20-yard line for another first down, as Phoebus here has really put on a good offensive display ever since they sputtered in that first possession. Let's watch this again. You're going to see some real good moves. You look at that. I mean, the man is still looking for his shorts back there. We got faked out.
And there's another one that he walked right on by. And if it hadn't been for number 41 for the Bruins, he would have gone in some more. That was Tracy Barkers. Tim, as at the quarter ended, I looked up, and the fans didn't get to see this, but Coach Bill D sprinted down to the other end and was just going wild and pumping his team up because he is real pleased with what they're doing out there.
We have some instant stats here.
Oh, man.
Jerry the Z. Chris Witz has carried the ball 7 times in the first quarter for 85 yards. So Chris Witz is on top of things right now. Bodie has 3 carries for 19, and Turner 4 carries for 18, while Miller had that 1 carry a little while ago. He picked up 17 on that. The Bruins, or rather the Phoebus Phantoms, have 8 first downs in the first quarter alone. Now,
Bruins have what could happen, but a couple of them, Tim.
Right, Hodge now has been all of the offense for Bethel in the first quarter. He had 7 carries for 23 yards. Fullwood carried 1 for 6. And 1 first down registered by the Bruins in the first quarter. So the Bruins and the Phantoms locked up here. The Phantoms have done the job. Far side of the field, it looked like that was Maurice Turner carrying the ball. It's hard to pick up his number from here. See if perhaps on the replay we can find out.
Picked up another first down, Tim. And here is the replays. We can see that ball. It looks like it's going into the center of the line again, right there. But there's a quick pitch to that is number 22. Yeah, it is 22, Tim.
It's hard to tell. It looks like 22 or 32 sometimes. It's hard to pick that up, but that is in fact Turner who got the first down. Now it's 1st and goal at the 6. And we've got flags and stoppage of play. I believe this is going to be a illegal procedure call against Phoebus. They've had another, that's the 3rd of the first half. Phoebus threatening to score a 2nd time here. They lead 7-0. This game being played on the 20th of October, 1988. Coming to you from Armstrong Field on the campus of Hampton University. Tim Cole with Bob Hintz and our instant statistician, Jerry the Z Zomplis.
And we do miss A.G. Womble.
That's right.
But he is
looking for him.
He is at the hospital with his new baby boy, Chase, and his wife, and we send our best to both of them, and thankful everybody's healthy.
And another flag. So this happened in the very first possession for Phoebus, about this same place on the field. They're doing something. The referee just indicated somebody is raising up from the 3-point stance before the ball is snapped, apparently. Of course, that's one of the more academic things that a lineman learns, the first day of practice.
Sure does, Tim.
I mean, that was my interpretation. He indicated like he showed his arm as if it were being raised up. I'm sure Bill D is going to get this ironed out real quickly.
Well, I tell you, because they were down there ready to score with a first and goal, and now they're back at what looks like about the 16.
Absolutely. They were on the 6th 1st and goal. Now it's 1st and goal from the 16. So they still have the 4 downs, but they're moving in the opposite direction.
We may see a pass play here.
Artis started to come to the near side. He sets up on the far side. Quick look-in pass. We've seen it before. Touchdown.
And that's what I was talking about, Tim. And what that happened that time is they moved Artis wide to the left, which brought that linebacker out and opened up that lane for the big tight end to go right down the middle and pick that ball up. Nobody on him. In fact, by the time they hit him, he was in the end zone, Tim.
That was Tony Richards, number 88. We saw that play last week against Kickoff. It worked very well for Witz and company, and it does so again. He looked in real quickly, threw that pass right over the middle, and once he got past the initial tackler, there was nobody there to stop him.
We make sure that number 86 is in there to kick this extra point, Drew Powell, the young man that we were talking about that we had slided last week, and we're sorry about that, Drew, and we apologize, but kick it through.
Left-footed kicker, puts it right through the uprights. So Powell is perfect on 2 attempts at the extra point, and Phoebus is on top by 2 touchdowns. Let's watch that touchdown again. Chris Witz is a left-handed passer now, I remind you, and that may be enough to throw off the defense. That gets you sometimes. Look at this. He just fakes momentarily to Bodie. Nice job, guys. Perfect coverage. And Tony Richards, once he gets that ball, he is not going to be stopped. He is on his way into the end zone. In fact, he was tackled well into the end zone. That was a 74-yard drive in 2 minutes and 44 seconds.
And what was the other one, 80 yards, Tim?
80 yards in 3 minutes and 13 seconds. So there you see the ability of Phoebus to score almost at will here in the first half. They're not making the big play that we saw against Kickoff, where 60, 70-yard runs.
But they're just
pounding away,
clumping them off at 10, 12, 15 yards at a time. And Tim, if you remember last year at the Phoebus-Bethel game, Phoebus had 35 points before the Bruins ever scored. And Coach Kaz was not real happy about that, and it looks like we may have a repeating of history
I'm watching
here.
him on the far sideline. He's not real happy about things right now, as you might expect. Phoebus trails in this series 9-2-1. They've won only twice, but they've won the last 2 times. And of course, it's not what you did for me 5 or 6 years ago. It's what have you done for me lately? And right now, Phoebus is on a roll. They have a 14-point lead. 10:49 remains here in the first half.
Well, Tim, that was number 33 that made that tackle for the Phantoms, and I don't have a number for name for number 33. And I apologize to him and his mama.
For Phoebus?
And his daddy, yeah. Do you have a 33 for Phoebus?
No. We can make one up.
Well, I don't want to do that, but he did a good job of making a tackle.
Let's see if we can't find out. At any rate, Bethel now at the 25-yard line, trailing by 2 touchdowns. Gwaltney wants to pass, throws downfield for Todd Kelly. Kelly can't hold on to it. Mike Artis was right there to defend, along with John Ross, number 1.
That's
not Kelly.
It's Orlando Crawford, number 89. But Mike Artis went up, timed it good, and knocked the ball out of his hand just as the ball got there. And Crawford is a big young man, and we can see the replay on this. But
he's built very similarly to Kelly, and that's
but he's only 6'2", while Kelly's about 6'6". But this is an excellent pass, right on the money. As you can see, Artis gets there as the ball does, which was an excellent defensive play.
Corey Hodge is taken down in the backfield. A flag is down. In on the stop for the Phantoms was number 67, Tim Williams, who in that opening game a couple of weeks ago grabbed the initial possession of the opponents. They grabbed the ball right on the initial possession and raced in for a touchdown. Tim Williams hurt in the Hampton game in the next game, but he's back here at full strength today. Kevin Giles is number 33 for Phoebus. Now they're going to mark off a penalty against the Bruins. I know Dennis Kozlowski now has a little less hair because he probably pulled some out. Things are not going well for the Bruins. Kaz is a fiery coach, to say the least, so I'm sure
I have seen him literally climbing the side of a face mask, Tim. He will, he doesn't hide his emotions very well.
Holding is the call against the Bruins, so things do not improve for them right now. They've got to look at a 2nd down and 22. Not much happening there either, as the Phoebus defense is fired up, to say the least.
Number 21 for the Bruins got the ball and was unceremoniously dropped, and that's Derek Gurley, who's in the ball game for the first time.
And Chris Black, number 73, was celebrating for the Phantoms. I would assume he had a lot to do with the stop on that play. No gain, 3rd down and 22. Bruins looking to get things on track. This is Corey Hodge. If he can get outside, he might get some yardage. He gets a little bit across the 20 to about the 22.
But Tim, he picked up maybe 10 yards that time, but he is still short of the first at the beginning of the 10-yard first down marker. So he's got about 14 yards there, 13, 14 yards, and they're going to have to punt again.
There you see Kozlowski, the white shirt, gray hair, black mustache.
He had real dark hair when I first met Coach Kaz.
So Kelly will be standing at about his 10-yard line. 4th down and 13. Kelly gets the kick away. It's into the wind. It doesn't get quite the distance that he's been getting when it was the other way around. And the ball is down at the 49. So the Phantoms will have good field position for this possession.
Well, Tim, I don't know if that's a plus or a minus, because the 2 times that they have gotten the ball, 80 yards for a touchdown and 74 yards, and here they only got, what, 40, 51 yards they go. So
they won't know what to do.
Yeah, they haven't got enough real estate.
All right, Joe's got a replay for us here. Let's see if here's the downing of the ball. There you see a couple of the players jousting there right at midfield.
Well, the Phantoms were smart to get away from the ball because they don't want to touch it.
from their 49, the Phantoms. Pitch out. Turner has some running, looking for a block from Artis. He got it, and he gets down close to a first down. It will be a first down.
Well, I tell you, Mike Artis does a good job. You don't have to knock the ball carrier down. I mean, not the ball carrier, but the defensive man down. But what you got to do is make sure that he hasn't got a clean shot, and that he's doing a good job at a shield blocking. And you'll see it here on the replay, but there was a good pitch. He just pitches the ball to Turner, and we'll catch right there.
See, there's Artis as he's
blocking Barkers.
Yep.
We got again a equipment, maybe a face mask it's moved, or a chin strap is not buttoned or something, and they will stop playing until that gets squared away.
First down, Bodie carries for Phoebus. Tom Bodie stopped by number 20 of the Bruins. That would be Kevin Cotman.
But Tim, I see a lot of Hampton High School Crabbers here. You know, they are off this week, and of course in 2 weeks they will play the Bruins. And I see a few of them sitting in the stands today.
Watch this replay of the last play if we have time. Okay, we're going to hold off because we're moments away here from the live action. Second down and 8. Pitch out to Turner. And a good defensive effort by Melendez-Bird, as Bird was right there, saw Turner, read that play all the way, and made a good open field tackle.
He sure did. In fact, he lost a couple yards on that play, Tim, but that was the first time that the Bruins had somebody on the pitch man.
We'll see it on the replay as Bird will be reading that play. This Bird coming up very quickly, saw Turner was the man going to get the ball, and he was right there to put the stop on it.
And we now have a timeout called by the Phantoms because you have a third down and 10. You don't want to make any mistake here, so the coaching staff of the Phantoms going to go out and put their heads together with the brain trust and try to come up with a first down, which again, watch out for that quick pass of that tight end, Tim.
7:43 remains here in the first half. If you joined us late, I'll recap the scoring for you. With 4:26 to go in the first quarter, Chris Witz went from 1 yard out to make it 7-0. The extra point try was good by Drew Powell. Then with 10:54 to go, capping a 74-yard drive, Tony Richards took a 16-yard pass from Chris Witz, made it 13-0, and Powell was again perfect with the extra point. And that's where we stand right now at 14-0. These two teams locked up. Phoebus with 2 losses in the district, but 5-2 overall. Bethel with no losses in the district, and they are also 5-2. Both of their losses coming outside the district. Last week they lost to Pulaski County on a last-second effort, 7-6. And their other loss was at the hands of Norview in the opening game of the season, I believe it was.
Sure was, Tim.
While
and Phoebus, Bethel is tied right now with Hampton for the district lead.
Well, not quite actually. They're 5-0 while Hampton is 6-0, but technically I guess they are tied in that sense. Saw Artis come in motion on that play. He's out there blocking for Chris Witz. Chris Witz has the ball all the way down inside the 30, enough for a first down.
Tim, I can't say enough about the way that Chris Witz is following his blockers. He's just doing an excellent job, and he's getting some good blocks downfield. Mike Artis, we talk about a lot because Mike Artis is out there one-on-one, and there's some good blocking going on in the center of the line, but boy, Chris is just doing an excellent job of following the blockers.
All the way down to the 19-yard line. We'll have that replay for you in a moment. Well, we've got it for you right now.
And there's Bodie throwing a block for him right there.
And he made it all the way down there. Back to the live action. Bouncing off of a couple of would-be tacklers is Turner.
That young man was hit and spun, and he kept right on going.
Well, we've seen Turner with his excellent balance in the past. He's one of the premier runners in the district. And incidentally, speaking of that, we want to take our hats off to Bullock over in Menchfield.
Wow.
245 yards Friday night in a mud-soaked game up at Todd Stadium. Rain-soaked and muddy and everything else, all the things that usually slow down a running back.
Well, a good heavy runner like Bullock, that will actually be an advantage to him, and it proved to be that way.
All the way down inside the 5.
Well, almost in the end zone, Tim. He is just about a yard short of scoring a touchdown.
And we've got a Phantom shaken up back at the line of scrimmage. I can't make out his number yet. He's hobbling.
Looks like number 77, Tim. 73.
Yeah, that's who I was afraid it might be, and I say that from the point of view of the Phantoms. That is Chris Black, and they can ill afford to lose a Chris Black. Here we're going to see the replay. There you see the pilot. There you see Chris Black just going out of your picture. This is Turner, and Turner puts his head down, and he says, you're going to bring me down, you're going to need a friend.
And he got a friend, but this can be hurting because as I don't know if the Phantoms know this, but the center Dwayne Jones is not playing, and Chris Black is playing in place of him, so they would have to go to a third string center. And on that replay that we just saw, he got his legs hooked up into blocking in that line, and that's what happened to him. And I know he doesn't want to come out of this game, but you got to look at the health of that young man too.
That's
They lost, excuse me, Tim, they lost Dwayne Jones into the game. And look at him, he's running off, looks good coming off, but they're going to have to take him off for one play.
There was assistant coach Mike Talon from Phoebus attending to Chris Black, and we're happy to see Chris Black get up and gingerly run over to the sideline. So he, as you mentioned, has to come out for one play, or they would be charged with a timeout.
And that's Nick Zacharias that went in as the other center.
It's 1st and goal for the Phantoms at the 1-yard line.
And there was a bobble on that handoff, which always happens, not always, but more times than not when you get a good center in there, the quarterback is used to that ball coming one way, and all of a sudden it snapped a different way, and it was a bobble, and it could have been a very costly bobble had it been a fumble.
Chris Black comes back into the ball game. Chris Witz was the ball carrier. He lost 2. And we'll see a replay.
And you can see the right here, Tim, you can see he just kind of fumbles the ball and, of course, lost a good second.
As soon as you lose a second that close to the end zone and the defense playing that tightly, you're going to have troubles. Chris Witz does not get in as the Bethel defense now has started to rise to the occasion. That time they stopped Witz for another minor loss, but nonetheless a loss. So the Bethel defense now has come alive. They can ill afford to go down 3 touchdowns here in the first half.
Oh, that's true, Tim. Bethel's got a pretty explosive offense, but when you go up against a team that is playing with the confidence that we haven't seen for the last 2 weeks in this Phantom team, they are playing like a team possessed out there. They know this is a big game.
Chris Witz tosses it for Turner. Turner struggling. Is he in?
He
Yes.
just did get in, Tim. That was pure effort because there was a young man hanging on to his legs. And that, Tim, I don't know if you realize from our angle, but that looked like a forward lateral, which you can do if you're behind the line of scrimmage.
It really did. I hope we have a replay on that, and if we have our usual crack team working on this, we will.
But that was excellent job because Miller was being held about a yard from the end zone, and he just drug him and took the ball carrier with him. I mean, took the tackler right with him into the end zone.
Drew Powell on to try his 3rd extra point. He's got it right between the uprights. So Powell is perfect on 3 tries. The Phantoms go 51 yards on 4 minutes and 37 seconds of the clock. And we're going to watch the replay from right down on the goal line. There you see Witz as he tosses that ball forward to Turner. Right on, watch the goal line. This is a perfect chance to see that second effort. And there you see him as he gets into the, ooh, almost forgot the ball. Boy, we didn't see that from the first time now.
You couldn't from this angle, we couldn't see that.
Oh, that ball popped loose. Good camera work, guys. That's Sam Jr. down there on the goal line doing his great job as roving cameraman. And our hats off to Sam on that one. That was a great shot.
It sure was, Tim. But that's 3 drives of 74, 80, and what was that last one? 51 yards.
51, right. And we thank Jerry Z for these instant stats as his addition to the crew here is most appreciated. We're getting some good figures for you folks to keep up with this game now. We've got it teed up. This is Drew Powell, left-footed kicker. Doesn't get much distance on it, down around the 13, 14-yard line. This is Corey Hodge looking for a opening in the seam, gets out across the 35.
Now the tackle there by number 30, Sean Davis of the Phantoms, but they are really fired up. I talked to Coach Talon before the ball game, and he looked at me and he says, the key today, emotion. If we can have some emotion out there and play the way we know, we're a good team.
Watch the replay here. You'll see Hodge. It looked like for a minute there that he might be able to get a good size opening to go through. It looked like it was going to open up for him. Went a little to the outside, and then, as you said, tripped up by Phoebus. Gwaltney throwing for Orlando. No call. Artis was all over Orlando Crawford. You're not going to see Powell doing a lot of running today. He's playing with that, I believe he's got a gimpy knee. Is that right?
Oh, you mean Todd Kelly?
I mean Kelly.
Yeah. But I was over at Bethel early in the week, and Todd was over there, and he got a knee brace, and he was going to go out and jog on the track before playing it all. It looks like we have a holding call or something against the Phantoms, which will move that ball up to midfield and a first down.
This might be what Bethel needs, is just kind of a break here, something to go their way and get the flow in their favor.
And that's Jim Fay making the call, Tim. But anyway, to finish up my point, I said to Todd, I said, are you going to play this week? He says, yes. I mean, nobody's going to keep me out of this ball game. This is a big ball game for both teams, and he realized that.
Bethel with a one loss coming into this game, Pulaski County. And of course, Phoebus trying to rebound from 2 consecutive losses after going 5-0 in the early part of the season. This one is going to be, well, it's
Tim, he did drop it. It almost was intercepted by 2 different players.
Well,
number 4 and number 80.
It looked like Eric Cherry actually tipped it back to his teammate.
Yeah, that was Kirk Burke. No,
Burke.
I'm sorry. That's not his name. Yeah, 80's number Kirk Burke.
I'd like to see that on the replay. It looked like he had, and we're going to have the replay. We'll see if we can see it. Gwaltney will fire downfield.
No, that's not Gwaltney. That is number 44, Troy Fullwoods, and you got to be awake.
Yeah, you're right.
Because Kaz will run those quarterbacks in on you. Excellent pass, but just over the head, and you can see Cherry had it, and it looked like.
Oh, did he have it or not? Well, we couldn't tell from that angle. The official was right there and had a much better angle at it.
Yeah, but he dropped the ball before it hit the ground before he got control of it, and I think that's where the official said it was incomplete. Now we have a 4th down and 8, Tim. Oh, I'm sorry, 3rd down and 8.
3rd down and 8 as the last carry was Corey Hodge for the Bruins. The ball, as you see it, at the 48-yard line of Phoebus. One of the few times here in the first half that Bethel has been in Phoebus territory.
Well, the first time they got the ball, they had it on the 40, Tim, and Phoebus stopped them. Now we got a timeout, Bethel. And at this point, Kaz wants to get out there and talk to his young men. And
all right, with 3 minutes and 27 seconds remaining in the first half, we're going to take a brief pause. We'll return with more high school football right here on Channel 29. There you see a bunch of the Phoebus faithful here at Armstrong Field.
And I'll tell you what, every one of those young men will be watching the ball game next week, too. There's a shot of the cheerleaders, and we have to apologize to the cheerleaders. They're not going to get talk on camera because AG's not here today.
Yeah, Jerry Z is going to go down there and do that at halftime, I think. We're going to make a star out of him once again. That's that Kellogg's commercial. Try it again for the first time.
For the first time.
You know, something I wanted to mention to the fans. They may not be aware of this, but the Hampton school system brings these games to them commercial-free. Never see a commercial on these games. How do we do that?
We're just good. I tell you, we got a tremendous backing, and Dr. Don Musselman from the top all the way down to the bottom.
3rd down, a big, crucial 3rd down for the Bruins. They'd like nothing better than to get on the scoreboard before halftime. Todd Kelly leaps for the ball, can't come up with it, and now returning the interception.
That's number 4 for the Bruins, Tim, and that's Eric Cherry, who almost had it to play before.
Actually, he's for the Phantoms, and you're right. Cherry had a shot at it.
Oh, did I say Bruins?
It's all right. We don't want to make any of these guys angry with us. You're absolutely right. Cherry had a great opportunity the last time down the field to make an interception and just couldn't hold on to it. But Cherry made no mistake this time. You'll see on the replay that Todd Kelly, I believe that was Kelly that was out on that play. Let's see if we can pick it up. It's either Kelly.
The ball is just overthrown. I mean, way over his head, Tim.
That is Todd Kelly. It's 88. Well, back to the live action. Down close to the 20-yard line. So the Phantoms, the opportunistic Phantoms, take that interception and drive it all the way down to the 25. Now we see a 5-yard gainer for the Phantoms. 2nd down and 5.
And Tim, they got plenty of time too, don't they?
Yep, 2:50 and some change here in the first half. So the way they've been doing it, they drove 80 yards in 3 minutes and 13 seconds for their first score. So this is more than enough time. Chris Witz with a 2nd down and 5. He's got Bodie and Turner in the backfield. Wants to pass, he's in the grasp, he gets away, but not finally, as now a late flag comes down.
And maybe face mask, Tim. And that's exactly what the call is.
And you can see the coaching staff on the other side of the field for Bethel, of course, upset with the play. They had sacked Chris Witt, but now we're going to see a penalty apparently against the Bruins.
And you can see Kaz is just really hot. He is yelling and stomping over the net because that was a good defensive play, which really threw the Phantoms back and possibly took them out of field goal range if that does come about. But here you can see there's one ball player, tackler had him, there's 2, 3, and right there's the face mask, Tim.
Someone's got a hold of the mask. So that's got to drive you right up a wall when you see your team do a good job on defense, and now instead of 2nd down and long, you've got
no, it's been 3rd and long, Tim. It's been 3rd and long.
That's right. 2nd and 1. Witz pitches out to Turner. Turner tripped up on a good defensive effort. Over there for the Bruins was number 70.
Looks like 79.
Yeah, we don't have a 79.
We don't have 79?
Well, we'll have to call him the mystery tackle.
79 is Marcus Washington.
That's right. We have to go to the 2nd list of names. He's not in numerical order. Marcus Washington, 6'5", 250. Just a little guy.
Well, I tell you, he may have been little, but he was real quick in stopping Turner that time.
But he did not stop Turner before he got the 1st down. Now the Phantoms with a fresh set of downs, and we're inside of 2 minutes to go here in the first half. Ball is marked at the 14, and the gain of 4 will mark it at the 11. So check that 3, gain of 3, and it's 2nd down at the 11. They can get a 1st down and not score. They can get down to the 4-yard line and get a 1st down. And they have racked up a tremendous number of 1st downs here in the first half. Artis goes in motion to the left. Witz looking for Artis at the corner of the end zone. Touchdown.
Oh, excellent pass, Tim. And they were looking, people were looking for that big tight end, and Artis just took that right down, broke into the end zone, and boy, you talk about putting some pressure on the Bruins right up front. This is 27, could possibly 28 points because we have Drew Powell coming in to kick the extra point.
You got unsportsmanlike conduct, penalties after the fact, I believe.
Well, maybe celebrating, slamming the ball down, you can't do those sorts of things. And I didn't see what the call was, but that was after the touchdown.
Yeah, we'll see it on the replay, or at least we may see that part of it. There you see Artis, number 10, as he goes in motion to the left. And we switch over to the ground camera. Witz fakes and then throws into the corner. And there goes Mr. Artis into the end zone.
We didn't see if anything happened afterwards. That's what I was looking for. And here we have with Drew coming in to attempt the extra point, Tim. And here's your
25-yard drive. Drew Powell caps it off with his 4th extra point of the afternoon. He's been a busy young man, and 1:55 is all it took for the Phantoms to go 25 yards. So it has been all Phoebus here in the first half, and they lead at halftime, or at least just before halftime.
Shades of last year, Tim.
28-0. I just never would have imagined.
No, I wouldn't have either. But I was talking to Kaz earlier, and he says if Phoebus lost today, that would almost knock them completely out of any chances of going to playoffs. He figured he could lose and still go, but he's got a tough game next week with Ferguson, and in the following we got a heck of a game with the Hampton Crabbers.
So we're going to see the Bethel Bruins 3 weeks in a row here on Channel 29. Unsportsmanlike conduct was the call against Phoebus. There you see they've been pushed back to the 25. The only wrong thing that they've done here, other than a couple of minor illegal procedure calls they had early in the ball game, but after that they have been perfect. They have intercepted the ball, they have passed it, run it. I mean, just anything they want to do so far, they've been able to do so successfully.
Well, they're going to end up with good field position, Tim, and with 1:20 to go, have a good chance of getting a touchdown and maybe get on the scoreboard and go in at halftime with a little bit of positive feelings.
That's assuming they are able to pick this ball up. I thought you might be a little premature.
Oh, man.
30-yard line, 1st and 10, Phoebus. Corey Hodge couldn't get a handle on the pigskin, and the Bruins give the ball up on the ensuing kickoff. And you think Hodge was upset before.
Wow.
I wouldn't want to be in that Bruin locker room at halftime.
No way do I want to be in that locker room.
And that's no slight of him. He's a fine gentleman, but he's got to be upset with the way his team is playing here in the first half.
He was looking. He fumbled the ball right here. Corey Hodge did, and he said, okay, I'm going to pick the ball up and run, but if you notice, he'll look up. Oops, I didn't get the ball, and then he just actually lost the handle again. And, of course, that time the Phantom jumped in and got him.
Kevin Kottman on the defense for the Bruins, a loss on the play. Timeout called by Phoebus, and Coach Kaz is going to come out. There you see him walking out on the field. We're going to watch that kickoff again. We want you to see just exactly how that ended up, and you're absolutely, what happened was Hodge rather had difficulty handling it, and then you said he tried to pick it up and run with it before he had control of it, took his eyes off the ball, and everybody knows that pigskin will bounce really strange for you. We're going to watch it now.
The first mistake he made is he let it hit the ground. They do not like, the coaches don't like the ball to hit the ground on a punt or a kickoff.
There you see that he looks up and said, whoops, wait a minute, and then he kicked it forward, which was bad enough. And the Phantoms, I'd like to, if we can follow that through, guys. Can I see who that was?
Who ended up with that ball?
I didn't see who ended up with it, but there you see our banner and our...
That's Jerome up there on the top.
Yes,
there,
sir.
wave to Mom, Jerome. Hey, Mom.
There you see the crew here. There's Bob, myself, Dr. Sam, and...
send over here to the side. Let's get him in there.
There you go. Get Jerry the Z with the stat man here. I'm going to call him the stat man. Nice press facilities they have here at Hampton University.
Oh.
Jerry Z and I used to come over here in the old days, back in the early 70s, and do some Hampton University football for Warner Cable. They had a press box which is about as big as where we're standing here today. Downfield, is it a catch?
Tim, that was an excellent catch.
Boy, is it ever. And that was number 1, John Ross, on the receiving end of that pass from Chris Witz. I told you, Phoebus can't do anything wrong here in the first half.
And Tim, the clock is stopped. 42 seconds. The ball is, what's that ball on? About the 10-yard line? 9-yard line.
1st and goal. Witz will throw in the corner, and it's knocked away, intended for Mike Artis. And Artis then became a defender, because actually the ball had a better chance of being caught by Tracy Barkers, number 41 for Bethel, and an Artis had to, in fact, play defense momentarily.
Well, that was not a real good throw by Artis. The man was not open, and the position where you are right now, if you can't get it in on a touchdown, you do have plenty of time to get it in and kick a field goal, Tim.
There you see the time on the scoreboard here at Armstrong Field. 31 seconds. The clock stops with the incomplete pass. Phoebus looking to add more points. Again, Artis on the play that went for a touchdown earlier. In motion, fake. Now Chris Witz keeps this time, and he's in for the score. 9-yard scamper by Chris Witz. We're looking at blowout here.
Tim, this is the same thing that happened last year when the Phantom scored 35 points before the Bruins ever scored. And that is one heck of a hole to put yourself into.
4 second quarter touchdowns by the Phantoms, and they've done it every way possible. Witz has scored twice, Artis once, Turner once, and Richards once. And they have gone out on top 34-0. This drive took just 50 seconds and went 30 yards. Extra point try is no good, so Drew Powell, who has been perfect the last 2 weeks, finally shows the human side of his kicking ability as he misses this one. We're going to see the replay now. Artis goes in motion just like the last touchdown, only instead of passing to Artis this time, Witz keeps, sees some opening, and goes to the end zone. And Chris Witz has impressed me with his field leadership.
Tim, the only difference between this game and last year is 34 instead of 35, and that's it. The difference is in the extra point.
You know, if Phoebus had played like this against Hampton, you know, if is the biggest word in the world, but if they played like this against Hampton, we would have seen a whole different type thing. They played a great game against Hampton. No, I'm not taking anything away from them, but Phoebus is going to be a good representative for the Peninsula District.
Oh, absolutely. They most certainly will, Tim. But if you'll...
That's assuming a lot of things.
Absolutely. Hampton really took Phoebus out of the game early. Hampton just dominated the line of scrimmage, and I think that's what the coaches at Phoebus were really upset about, is because the kids were not playing with any emotion, and they let Hampton dominate, which Hampton most certainly did dominate.
All right, the Bruins now, in the form of number 45, Steve Hodges, will keep possession this time. They will not cough it up as they did last time. Hodges gets it out to the 26-yard line. Check that 24-yard line.
Well, Mike Talon told me at the beginning of the game, Tim, and you and I were standing down there, that they received a letter from a Bruin.
I don't believe that. I'll tell you my side of that story in a minute.
But I told him I'd like to see that letter. He said he'd let me see the letter. So
yeah, that letter apparently fired him up. It was,
I don't know if that's
a derogatory letter, if in fact it was in fact written by a Bruin. I can't believe that anyone would want to antagonize somebody. There you see the clock has run out, and the teams are going off the field here at halftime. And at halftime, there you see the score, a dejected Bethel Bruin team heading for the halftime locker room, and undoubtedly a very stern discussion with Coach Kozlowski and his coaching staff for the Phoebus Phantoms.
Tim, they've got to feel like they're snake bit. I mean, they just can't do anything right, and everything that Phoebus does is right. The ball bounces right for Phoebus. It bounces bad for the Bethels, and you know, I'm sure we'll see a different Bethel team second half.
Going to watch the last touchdown again. This is the touchdown by Chris Witz from 11 yards out, and he goes in to make it 34-0 at halftime. We'll return to Armstrong Field with first half statistics and the second half of action. But first, a brief pause here on Channel 29. No, I put it there so. Third down and 2. Flags are down all over the field here. I just was going to look real quickly. Phoebus only added 1 first down to their total in the third quarter.
Tim, I could have called that for you again. That was an illegal procedure charged against the Phantoms, and they have been snake bitten by that today, but it has not hurt them. They've always been able to overcome it. Maybe we can catch who is moving, and it evidently is not.
Artis is allowed to move. Well, it looked like the Bruin jumped. I didn't see the motion.
I didn't either.
Obviously, the official's much closer to the
Well,
action.
all they have to do is pick up a hand. They can't pick up a hand.
Third down and 8. Throwing for the corner of the end zone is Chris Witz, throwing to Mike Artis, and he was well covered, and the ball goes out of bounds.
And he just threw that to a spot, Tim. But one of the interior linemen of the Phantoms is moving, and I'm not going to mention any names of who it is, but and it's just once you get, you're an interior lineman, once you get down to the three-point stance, you cannot move your hand once that ball is whistled in play until it is snapped.
Yeah, Well, you saw it there. Someone on the line moved before the ball was snapped. Back to the live action. 4th down and 7. Chris Witz throws for Artis. It goes incomplete, and the Bruins will take over on downs. So one of the few times today that the Bruins have been able to successfully stop Phoebus.
Well, they have been able to do it the second half, Tim. They could not do it the first half, but now you've got less than a quarter to go and you're down 5 touchdowns. You've got to get something happening. You got to get it happening quick if you're Bethel.
The 27-yard line is the point of possession here. 27-28, I guess, marked on the 28. Brian Gwaltney is the quarterback. Wesley Tuning comes in motion. And he's the man who's got the ball at the 42-yard line. And a good job of hanging on. And hanging on to him was his numerical counterpart, John Ross, number 1 of Phoebus. But not before the Bruins pick up a big first down.
And we got number 80 for the Phantoms, Tim, that is hurt down there, and that's Kirk Burke.
And he is shaken up. Let's watch on the replay and watch that successful pass play, and maybe we can find out what happened to Burke. Here you see in motion to the near side comes Wesley Tuning. And he's going to go right across the middle, and Gwaltney will hit him with a strike right on the numbers. And there you saw going down was the Phantom.
Well, Tim, the Phantoms had one player short on the field just prior to the ball being snapped, and I saw John Bodie come running out onto the field. So they were playing defense with 10 instead of 11, and I don't know if that made any difference or not, but that was a good pass and a nice route run by Tuning.
We're happy to see that Kirk Burke is on the sidelines and able to come off under his own power. Of course, he'll have to come out for at least one play. For our fans that may not be aware of this, they call timeout, and if the player is administered to, the team is not charged with a timeout, only if he stays in the ballgame. He must come out for at least one play.
And that's not a bad idea anyway.
Troy Fullwood is back in at quarterback, Tuning again in motion. Fullwood will drop straight back. Has some time, now gets a little pressure, and Tuning is his receiver, and he's got it. He was close to the first down, but by going back a little bit, he will not get the first down.
Well, Tim, he had to come back like that to catch the ball that time, and took it, but it's a second down, so that's, and we got a penalty back there, which may be roughing the passer.
It's in that area that you would suspect that
if we have a replay on that, maybe we can see what happened.
And our director, Scotty Bowers, informs us that we do, in fact, have that replay for you. We're going to see Fullwood. Good shot, guys. That's a good angle to see this from if we can follow Fullwood. Fullwood will go straight back. Just out of your picture. He gets some pressure where you can't see what happened to Fullwood afterwards. But there is a roughing the passer call against Phoebus. So if it wasn't a first down before, it is a first down now at the 43-yard line.
And now we got Gwaltney back in a quarterback.
Apparently, Coach Kozlowski is alternating quarterbacks. Orlando Crawford split to the left, Tuning in motion. Gwaltney will run for his life, goes outside looking for a blocker, and is he driven back. That's the kind of open field tackle you like to see. That's Eric Cherry, who's impressed me on several occasions today.
Well, Tim, he hit him at the 42-yard line, and when they came down, they were at the 47-yard line. So he drove him back 5 yards.
Watch this again. And Fullwood comes in. Gwaltney comes out. That's Gwaltney. Yeah. You see him as he scrambles and goes forward. And then he's going to get hit right about here. Right, watch Cherry. Boom. And tripped up in the backfield is Corey Hodge. In on the stop for Phoebus. Big number 67, Tim Williams, the nose guard.
That was a draw play, Tim, trying to catch the Phantoms in a blitz or a stun or something, and it did not work.
It's that time of the game, Bob, 9:47 to go, when you start thinking about your players of the game.
Well, I got mine for Phoebus. No doubt in my mind, I got to go with Chris Witz.
Fullwood back to pass. Lofts it downfield and goes off the fingertips. I believe he would have been out of bounds in any event.
I believe so too, Tim.
Wesley Tuning. There you see Tuning with the long jog back to the huddle.
Oh, he's a speedster, and they're just trying to run him on a fly pattern.
Chris Witt certainly has to be a prime candidate for that. You're absolutely right. He's thrown for a couple of touchdowns, scored a couple of touchdowns. We're going to watch the replay. Fullwood will drop straight back. He has protection, unloads the ball, and there you see Tuning. Well, you know, he wasn't out of bounds at that point. He was right on the sideline, so it wasn't as evident as it might have thought at first.
Tim, this is a 4th down situation right here, and that's the Hodges that time. Number 45, Steve Hodges with the ball, and it turns it over to the Phantoms. They get the ball.
So Bethel, of course, trailing by 34-0, had to go for the first down. This is not a 34-0 ball club we're seeing in Bethel. They just didn't get off the mark today, and Phoebus has outplayed them as they did last year. Last year, Phoebus was able to hold on to a 42-21 thing, but Bethel has shown no signs here of being able to get on the scoreboard. They were taken out of the game early, and Phoebus has been masterful. Tripped up in the backfield.
By number 20, Kevin Kottman. Now, Kevin Kottman, Tim, plays right in the middle of that defense. He's a defensive guard. He's only 5'9", 155, but he plays a whole lot bigger than that. What do you think about the Bruins player of the game, Tim?
You have to think about that. You know, they haven't had anybody on offense that's been able to sustain any offense, so it's kind of difficult to pick someone there. Over the left side, good pass.
That's that big end.
Tony Richards, who had a touchdown in the first half on a play not dissimilar to that, gets the first down.
Well, my vote's going to have to go to Troy Fullwood. I think he's done an excellent job both quarterbacking, coming in and quarterbacking, and playing defense, and he kicks off, and that's my vote, Tim.
Let's watch this play again from the ground level, then we'll switch up to the air. There you see Tony Richards. That ball laid right into the hands. Back to the live action, Chris Witz. And Witz is driven out of bounds, but not before he gets the first down.
And this is the kind of thing that really will hurt Bethel if they've got a sustained drive and come up with some points, so you can just kind of slam the door on the Bruins if that happens, Tim. Because we have exactly 8 minutes to go in the game. This is an excellent facility here at Hampton University, Armstrong Field.
And they've installed lights, and I understand that unless a miracle is performed and Darling Stadium is ready for the opening of next season, there's a speculation that a good number of games will be played here in the evenings on Fridays and Saturdays, as well as afternoons when Hampton University is not here. And I couldn't be happier about it. It's a nice facility. I mean, Todd Stadium is an excellent place, but let's face it, the Hampton fans have been hesitant to drive that long trip up to Todd Stadium.
Oh, you mean that whole 10 miles, Tim?
Yeah, I'm on the Hampton fans. I apologize for nothing here. I think this place should have been crowded to the brim this afternoon. The game didn't turn out to be a close game, but it certainly looked like it would be on paper. The fans stayed away in droves. Oh, my gracious. One of the few times today that Chris Witz has been treated the way he was. You know, you were talking about the players. I'd have to go with a defender in spite of the 34 points. I would either choose Melendez Bird, number 81, as my Bethel player of the game, or even Kevin Kottman, number 20. Both have done a good job playing their positions. The score does not indicate a good defensive effort per se, but I'd give that more credit to the supreme offensive effort by Phoebus today. And there have been some good defensive plays by Bethel. We hesitate, or rather we don't hesitate to tell you that our picking of the player of the game is not meant to slight anyone. It's just kind of a fun way to pick out some outstanding ball players. There you see Chris Witz not having a chance to get that one away. And who was there to tackle?
Kottman again.
Kevin Kottman. So Kottman, in spite of his team on the wrong end of a 34-0 score, has played well this afternoon, as has Melendez Bird.
Yeah, he has not given up, Tim, with the score where it is. And I'll I will go with you and let you pick one of those two young men.
Since it's Academy Award time, I'm going to pick Kevin Cotton.
Okay. So we got Cotman for the Bruins and Chris Witz for the Phoebus Phantoms.
An award in their name of no money will go to nobody. Because we have no budget. Two wide receivers to the near side. Chris Witz rolling pocket, and he is dumped, hard. Well, Melendez Bird and Kevin Cotman were there, and they really nailed him.
Tim, he was getting ready to throw the ball, and he was hit hard as he turned to square his shoulders, running to the right to throw left-handed, and that split second that he needed to turn was when he really got lowered.
I'm happy to tell you that he wasn't hurt on that play, because he could have been. He was really lowered. I mean, they leveled him. Watch this now from the ground level. He's rolling. He's got a rolling pocket.
And boom, right there is Melendez Bird. Hit him hard, Tim.
Boy, they did too. Cotman and Bird right there to nail him. And that was a 4th down. So we've seen a number of changes of possession on 4th down today. This is Gwaltney. Flare pass right side. And picking up some yardage is number 45. That's Steve Hodges for the Bruins. We won't have our post-game interviews, as we so many times do, with AG out on the disabled list today. So we will wrap up quite briefly at the end of the ball game.
Have we ever been brief?
Never. But we will. We'll kind of give Jerry Z some momentary time to figure his stats up. 5 minutes and some change left. The Hail Mary downfield for Wesley Tuning goes incomplete. A trio of Phantoms there defending. Among them was Eric Cherry, number 4. Number 1 over there as well defending was John Ross for Phoebus.
Well, I tell you, Tim, if the Phantoms do shut out the Bruins, that will be a monumental task, because this is a good offensive team out there that the Bruins have. And to be held to 0 points this far in a game is, you really have to take your hat off to that Phoebus defense.
Gwaltney wants to pass. He has it picked off. Ellis Boyd with the interception for Phoebus. You know, talking about players of the game, of course, we gave Chris Witz that honor from Phoebus, but the defense for Phoebus has been outstanding this afternoon. Take nothing away from them. We're going to watch a replay of the interception, but the defense, Cherry, Boyd, Ross, Tim Williams, there's been a number of players that have played outstanding ball game for. There you see the interception by coming right at you. It's Ellis Boyd, and he is wrapped up securely by Kirk Burke.
Not Kirk Burke.
Was that Kirk Burke?
No, Kirk's on the other team.
Was that 88?
No, that was 89.
Right. Yeah, that's 80. That's Blair Sawyer. Let's get it right here, Cole.
You had the right number, wrong team.
Wrong cigar. 4:40 left in the ball game. Chris Witz has been quarterback throughout for the Phantoms.
And that was Tom Bodie. They give the ball right up the middle. And what they're trying to do is just run that clock out, Tim. I'm sure they'd like to pick up a 1st down or 2 and never let the Bruins get it again.
Well, in fact, Bodie is not in the ball game. That was Tony Miller, number 32.
He looked bigger.
Yeah. Gain of 2, 2nd down and 8 for the Phantoms. Oof. Melendez Bird is another one of those guys that hasn't quit yet. Cotman was over there, but Bird wrapped up Chris Witz. .343 to go. Chris Witz comes out of the ball game. And as I said, he played the whole game, but now he is replaced by Andre Ross at quarterback.
That's the quarterback for the future, perhaps?
3rd down and about 13.
And he's just a junior. Andre Ross is just a junior, so he'd very well be the quarterback next year, Tim. The last 2 games of the season for the Phantoms next week, they will play Denby High School, and then for the last game, they go over and play Cox. And so they only have one more game in the district, and that's next week. So should they be successful both next week and the following week, they will definitely be in the playoffs. The Bruins now have a hard road to hoe. We will have them here next week, and they host the Mariners from Ferguson. And then the following week, we'll go up to Todd at 2 o'clock, and that's November the 5th, with a big clash with the Hampton Crabbers. And, of course, Hampton remembers that game from last year when Bethel snuck up and really bit them bad.
You know, I'm not so sure that loss didn't help Hampton in the long run, because they played extremely well throughout the rest of the playoffs before losing in a last-minute effort. Oh, talk about a last-minute effort. I'm going to have to give a co-player of the game to not only Cotman but Melendez-Bird. Melendez-Bird has played.
I think you made a good choice there. I think Cotman is doing an excellent job, but Melendez-Bird is really. He's saying we may lose this game, but I'm going to get my licks in before the game is over.
Let's watch this again, and you're going to see Bird come up and really stick him.
He comes right through nobody picked him up, Tim. He shot the gap between the guard and the tackle, and there he was, right in the backfield as the ball got there.
So that brings up a 4th down, and about 16 to go for the first. Ross kicks as well as backs up at quarterback. This is Steve Hodges looking for a return, and Hodges, tiptoeing along the far sidelines, is finally brought down at about the 40-yard line.
Well, the
2:26 left.
Well, the Bruins haven't given up. I mean, they're out there popping people. Both teams are popping people.
Dennis Kozlowski team has never given up that I've ever seen. They always know that they better give out 100% all the time. Watch the replay of the return by Hodges, rather. This is Steve Hodges, and there's a block coming up there. Right there. Hodges looked like he might be able to get out of bounds there. He tiptoed along the sidelines, and then they finished him off.
All right.
And this is Steve Hodges, and he's wrapped up, thank you, by Chris Black.
And there's another young man that should get mentioned for player of the game on the Phantoms, is Chris Black.
No question about that. Tim Williams, Chris Black have played real well on defense for the Phantoms. As I said, Ross, Boyd, Eric Cherry, you can pick out a half a dozen players. Pass completed.
And that looks like number 88, Todd Kelly.
It is Todd Kelly.
He just ran over I don't know if he got tackled or just got his feet tangled up with a defender that time.
Ellis Boyd, I think. And he's about twice the size of Boyd. Boyd is 5'8". Of course, Kelly is 6'5". Todd Kelly playing on a gimpy leg. After the first down is registered, a pickup of about 2. We'll watch the pass play of a couple of plays ago.
And this is the one to Todd Kelly, Tim, where after he catches the ball, he just kind of stumbles over the back of the defender right there. Boom, down he goes.
Waltney running for his life. Throws downfield. He's got Orlando Crawford, and the ball is intercepted, I believe. Yes, it is.
He just took the ball away from Crawford, Tim, and that's number 21 for the Phantoms.
Kevin Rogers, who we incorrectly were naming as the kicker last week for the Phantoms. Orlando Crawford was the intended receiver, but Kevin Rogers comes up with the intercept.
He just flat took the ball away from. He wanted that ball a lot worse than Orlando did, it looked like.
Let's watch the replay, see if we can watch this again. You see the ball as it's ending its flight.
And Orlando was right open until right at the end when the ball got there, Tim.
Kind of moved out of your picture there, but the end result was yet another interception for the Phantoms.
And Tim, with 50-some seconds to go, I believe that the Phantoms are going to shut out the Bruins.
I think that Bill D, if he smoked cigars, he could light it up, because this one is all over by the shouting. And the Phantoms just want to get this one over with as they drop on the ball. for any continuing play here. All that can happen is somebody might get hurt.
Well, they're going to have to snap the ball one more time, Tim.
27 seconds to go. So the Phantoms now will break a 2-game losing streak, and Bethel will have a 2-game losing streak, having lost last week to Pulaski County. And now the Phantoms, having lost to Hampton and Kickoff on successive games, will win this one. And they not only win, but they shut out the Bethel Bruins. Final score 34-0. We'll let you look at the jubilation on the field on the part of the Phantoms while we tally up our game statistics for you here. Knowing Jerry the Z, that won't take but a second.
Oh, this guy is quick, Tim. He really is. But I tell you,
at the dinner table, you want to see quick.
Well, that's what he said, that he'll do this quick if you get over there and buy those ribs. And there's a good shot of some of the happy players, and as you can see, the camaraderie there and good sportsmanship being shown after the game, Tim.
I always like to see that. You know, a lot of the fans get sometimes more involved in the game from that point of view than the players do, but the players like to have that camaraderie. They like to have that sportsmanship, and you got to teach it. You got to be a good winner and a good loser as well. And a lot of these players, of course, know each other through years of playing against each other in Pee Wee ball and junior varsity ball, and go on to play each other into varsity. And the Phantoms, of course, Bill D and his team has to be real pleased with this victory today. They came off of 2 losses, 2 tough losses. That game last week against Kickoff was one of the most exciting games I've seen in many days.
Tim, I have talked to people about that. I said, you talk about a spectator game. Last week you got to see everything. A lot of scoring, no blowouts. One team scored, the other team scored, went back and forth, 21 points scored by each team during the first half. And then it went into overtime, double overtime as a matter of fact. So that was an excellent game. And I told you I've got that on tape. And I don't get to see many of these games, so I have to set it up to tape so I get it on the way back. But we get a lot of fans that are seeing this game, and we wish that they would call the school board or write us or drop us something in the mail and let us know. We just got a word from our Scotty Bauer, our director, says that they're not leaving until AG gets here and interviews them.
I guess the best they're going to have to settle for is what you see there. They're going to get a chance to mug in front of the camera. Who's working the camera down there? Is that Jerome still on there?
Jerome is down there in the middle of all that, and of course they are eating it up.
As well they should. The Phantoms have every reason to rejoice as they come out on the long end of a 34-0 score. Bill D, probably as personable a coach as I've ever had the chance to talk with, and our continued congratulations to the Phantoms. Jerry, how you coming on our stats there?
He's still look. He's still look. You can see Jerome standing there. Whoop! If they step on the court, he's in trouble.
One of the hazards of the camera.
Jerry says that he's got stats ready, but where's his ribs, Tim?
I'll tell you what, we'll get a trade-off here. I'll give him a ride home, and if you'll give me the final stats.
That's nice of you. I'm sure you'll appreciate that.
Just a moment or two, we will have those stats for you to see the very happy Phoebus Phantoms. They have certainly improved their opportunity and their chances of going on to postseason play. And I understand Joe Lewis, while we get a chance to drop a few names of our crew here, Joe Lewis, our replay man, is going to show us the final touchdown, which occurred during the first half, as we had no scoring here in the second half. This was Chris Witz, our pick for offensive player of the game for the Phoebus Phantoms. Chris Witz had scored 2 touchdowns and threw for 2 more.
And it was a tremendous field general out there on the field today for the Phantoms, Tim. And they needed they needed the rest of the team to play like Chris is. I think even in the 2 losses that the Phantoms had against Hampton and against Kickoff, Chris Witz played ball both times. In fact, he was interviewed by AG, and that's a tough thing to do after losing a game, and you know you played hard to have somebody come up and interview, but he stopped and talked to AG and got on camera and whatever. But the rest of the team played like they could play today.
We're going to let our camera people tell the story, and we'll let the camera people show you some of the fans here and get a chance for them to get on.
And here we are with the finals.
Run down the final stats. This is the game stats show the first downs. Phoebus with 22, Bethel with 8. Rushing yardage, 254 yards for Phoebus and 70 for Bethel. Passing yardage just about equal. Phoebus had 56. Bethel had 80 yards passing. Total offense, 310 yards for Phoebus, 150 for the Bruins. Pass completions, 4 out of 12 for Phoebus, 6 out of 22 for Bethel. So they just couldn't, even when they knew they had to pass, they couldn't complete it. 5 interceptions by the Phantoms.
Well, that's the thing, Tim. He was completing the passes to the wrong team.
9 attempts at third down for Phoebus, 3 conversions. 11 attempts at third down for Bethel, just 2. Penalties, 11 for 95 yards for Phoebus, 3 for 40 yards against Bethel. Time of possession, 29 minutes and 25 seconds for Phoebus, 18:35 for the Bethel Bruins. So there you see the stands emptying and the players making their way to the buses to head back to their respective schools. And the final score here from Armstrong Field again is Phoebus 34, Bethel nothing. We remind you that we'll be back here next Saturday afternoon on the 20, what'll it be there, Bob? The 22nd, 29th, right? 29th of October for the game between the same Bethel Bruins as they'll try and rebound against the Ferguson Mariners. Game time, 2 o'clock at Armstrong Field. We hope to see all of you fans out here for that game. For our entire crew, Jerry Z doing the stats. Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate your help. For Bob Hintz and our hopefully returning A.G. Womble, our man on the spot, who we again congratulate on the birth of his son. We remind you of the score, 34-0 Phoebus over the Bethel Bruins. Thanks for watching, everybody, and good afternoon.